Good morning, guys. It's now Friday morning. Well, still Thursday night for me. Been going through emails here for the last hour or so. Reading comments and emails and everything like that. A lot of people lately have asked, who the hell am I? Okay. What's my background? What's going on? And I thought it might be important to revisit a video that I recorded a year and a half ago or so about me, about who I am, about what made me the guy you see, what goes on in this squirrel cage. So some of you who've been around for a while may have seen this video already. I think when I recorded this, there were probably about 25,000 subscribers. Now there's about 100. That means there's 75,000 people who might not know who I am, might not know my story. I thought it might be important to show you guys just what got me to where I am, to who I am at this point. Hopefully, it gives you a little better idea of what goes on in this brain. Enjoy. This is a video that a lot of you have asked me to make over the last couple of years, and most of the time I've kind of stayed away from it just because this channel's never been about me, okay? It's been about all of us. But after the video I did here mid-morning, I got quite a few emails and a few comments under the video on what was my story. And maybe you guys want to hear it, maybe you don't, okay? But I figured it's only fair that I give you the whole story here on how I got where I was, considering some of the things I say. I got married in 1998 to my first wife. We had my daughter in 1999, lived a comfortable middle-class life. Both of us were making mid-30s up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Had a decent house and everything, the sort. Things were okay. Up until 2007, the marriage started to dwindle a little bit. I won't go into the details on that, but because that's not pertinent. But 2009, in the middle of the economy falling apart, my job being a recruiter, unemployment up there at the time got to 17%. Okay, my business dropped nearly 90% in between Halloween of 2008 and July of 2009. I lost my job. At the same time, my wife said, I want a divorce. Great. So now I go through a job loss and a divorce, and obviously my daughter, how the whole world goes, the guys never get custody of the kid, so I had to lose my wife, my daughter, my job, and eventually my house. I moved out to New England with the promise of a job. The day I got there, went to the place that was there, and they said, sorry, we had the person that you were going to recruit for, the salesperson, quit, so we don't have a position for you. I wound up going through the divorce, the job loss, a bankruptcy because of all of it, moving out to New England, and having literally nothing left but my personal effects in my truck. 2010, I had to rent a room in somebody's house. That's where I was. Okay? I had a bedroom. I eventually got myself to a point where I had a studio apartment, which was literally a living room, kitchen, and bathroom. The place was about 300 square feet. This is up in New Hampshire. Wasn't exactly the Taj Mahal, let's put it this way. All right, it's like, okay, you get up in the morning and make sure the roaches were gone. Take a shower, go to work. I eventually got myself in a relationship with a lady in Massachusetts, and we wound up moving in together. That was 2012. That relationship turned out to be extremely toxic. That ended in spring of 2013. And here I am again, basically nothing but what I had in my truck. I had been talking to my best friend ever, Army friend, who was living out in Utah. And he said, hey, he says, if all shit's gone to hell, come stay out here with me. So I packed up my clothes in the truck and I drove from Boston to Salt Lake City area. 4 days of driving. Had enough money for gas to basically get there. I literally showed up on his doorstep broke. Okay. I paid my room and board by helping him on the property, whether it was cleaning the house, doing some of the cooking, cleaning up crap around his acreage, etc., doing whatever I could. Wasn't eligible for unemployment because, of course, I had quit my job in Massachusetts, so don't get unemployment when you quit. So I had no income. My truck transmission went out. So now I have zip, nothing. Literally, I had my clothes. I was sleeping on an air mattress in his house. That was the state of my life. This is 2013. I eventually, even with my recruiting experience, couldn't find a job. I eventually took a job paying $10 an hour working in a kitchen at the county jail. That at least got me enough money to do something. Between the VA and the Mormon Church in Salt Lake, they were able to help me get an apartment where I had a place of my own. Again, this was a tiny apartment, one-bedroom apartment, not exactly the best side of town, not exactly the nicest area. Okay, no furniture, no nothing, whatever it would be, but the VA and the Mormon Church paid for 2 months worth of rent. The Mormon Church gave me enough food, bag of oranges, a little bit of ground beef, stuff like that. Anybody who lives in Salt Lake, you guys know there's the mission there, if you will, over by the mills just off the highway. I forget what it was called, but that was how I sustained myself. Found a job. Okay, wasn't a good paying job, but found a job. Was able to get my bills paid. Okay, pay the rent on my own, etc., No spending money, no nothing. Okay, I bought a $1,000 truck from a junkyard. That was what I was driving. Okay. Scroll ahead 2 years. Okay. And mind you, what I was doing for extra money, like I said, you find a way. Okay. I'd go give plasma twice a week. I've mentioned many times to you guys about a website called Opinion Outpost. I was pirating my internet in my apartment by somebody who had an unsecured internet connection at the time. Okay, so I was able to get my internet. So I'd make 30, 40, 50 bucks extra a week by donating plasma or by doing surveys or whatever it was. Late 2014, I met Mrs. P online. I had found a better job and made arrangements to go to Russia. I was all of a sudden laid off from that job. And now I was sitting here trying to figure out how to go see her from donating blood and doing surveys. Okay, because I had no paycheck at this point. God smiled on me, and I got a phone call out of the blue one day from somebody who found my profile on LinkedIn and said, hey, we're hiring for recruiters there in Salt Lake. Would you be interested? Hell yeah, I would. This was maybe 2 months. Well, I started Valentine's Day of 2015, and I was supposed to go, I went to go see her mid-April. So yeah, it was about 2 months before I was supposed to go to Russia. I went, obviously everything worked out well, okay? Came back to the States. We did all the stuff, the processing for Mrs. P to come over and everything like that, and she got here in September of 2015 in that little apartment. Now, mind you, when Mrs. P got here, it's get on a plane. She literally had a suitcase and a cat. That was what she came up with. So here it was, the two of us together had nothing. Okay, the furniture that I had in the apartment was donated from either got from the DI store, Deseret Industries, or Goodwill. I mean, DI is basically the same thing as like a Goodwill. It's a secondhand place, okay? And the church actually, and I'm not Mormon, okay? But the church had given me a coupon, if you will, to go get some basic household necessities. So I actually had a couch that I was sleeping on until I could finally find a mattress that I got on Craigslist, okay? This is coming out of it, guys. This is exactly what happened, all right? This is now 2015. Mrs. P gets here. She comes into this apartment, and we're like, okay, we're going to put this life together. Now, I'd now been working at this job for 6 months. It's a little better pay, and, you know, I'm getting somewhere. Mrs. P came, and we were doing whatever we could, all right? It was still doing surveys. It was anything we could for a little bit of extra money. We eventually got out of that apartment and found us a little bit nicer apartment. This is still. And I can remember, and she'll tell you the same thing, many times of sitting on the couch, again, the same secondhand couch, going, honey, I just got $10 from doing surveys. We can go to the grocery store. Okay. And we did. It was like we'd go through the grocery store and figure, okay, how can we buy groceries that's going to last us for 3, 4, 5 days on $10? And we ate some of the cheapest food that you could eat. But we had each other, and we had a mission. Okay. This was it. We were going to get out of this. We were going to do it together. We decided we wanted to try to buy a house. Now, I'd now been at my job for about a year. Okay, I was making decent money. All right, bringing home 50 grand. You know, now mind you, this is going through, and at this point, I'd been in the recruiting industry for 12 years. Okay, so it's not unheard of. I mean, it's not like I was rich or anything like that, but that's fair pay for that job. I had my VA benefits. Of course, I can buy a house with 0 down. So we looked, and we eventually found where we could buy a house in Nevada, in Vegas. The market was soft, okay? Still in 2016, the market was soft, and we found a nice house that was inexpensive. And so we bought it and literally hooked a U-Haul to the back of the truck and took a U-Haul worth of stuff to Vegas. We were in the house, and for the first 2 months, you know those plastic chairs, those plastic patio chairs that you get at Walmart? That was our living room furniture. Okay, we had 2 of those, and we'd sit there, and that was what we'd sit on. Okay, I worked from home. It's on my computer on a plastic lawn chair sitting in my living room. We started our own business on the side. Okay, Mrs. P would look for different clients for recruiting. I would work my regular job, and then we'd work in the evening. She'd work during the day, and we'd work in the evenings on our personal business. Okay, so we were putting in 16-hour days, no problem. 2017, Mrs. P still had her apartment in Russia, and she flew back to go sell the apartment. I mean, she had to try to sell it from the States, so find a real estate agent, sell the apartment, everything. She sold the apartment, got very lucky that she did. This was after, unfortunately, this was after the ruble was devalued by 50%. So the proceeds that she got off the apartment, we were able to find a condo in Vegas out of bankruptcy that had been sitting there for 2 years. Air conditioner didn't work. The place was completely filthy. Nothing worked. But we bought that condo with the intent of fixing it up and using it as an Airbnb. Now, granted, I will say not everybody has the opportunity to have a windfall like that, but that's kind of what got us where we were. So now I had my job, we had her business, and we also had this condo that we had to manage an Airbnb on, and we did all the cleaning, and it was on the other side of town, so we had a half an hour drive there back and forth to do all the cleaning 2 or 3 times a week in between tenants. Okay, so we brought in that money. We parked all this. This was it. We didn't live high off the hog. We'd eventually bought some furniture and stuff like that. But we parked all the money. And we'd been in Vegas for 2 years, and Mrs. P's like, I really hate this heat, and I really miss trees. And this is the same time that Steve Sisolak and Jackie Rosen and Steve Horsford, all Democrats, won the elections for governor, senator, and our local representative. And at that point, I'm like, the hell with it. We're out of here. Okay, we're going to find somewhere to go, conservative area. And I've told you guys before, we looked at Idaho, Montana, Wisconsin, Indiana, Kentucky, North Carolina, Georgia, Texas, everything. And we eventually, literally looking all over the country to find this house. We moved out here with the only thing we had was our jobs, okay? And we had, again, had furniture and stuff like this. Got things that we had built for the house, or bought for the house so we could grow. Did we get lucky? Yes, because we sold the condo for a profit and we sold the house for a profit, which all that money was flipped into the down payment on this house. So we were able to buy this house, and I think I've told you guys many times, we paid $217,000 for this house, okay? We were able to take all the money we made and the money we saved and pay half of the money on this house. Means we still had $108,000 on a mortgage. This is April of 2019 when we moved in. I had my job, she had her business, and if you would have seen this house when we bought it, you would not recognize it the way it looks now. We busted our ass doing anything and everything we could to put every penny we could toward this house. It's what it took, right? It was surveys, it was 16-hour days, it was God knows what. And y'all remember last year when we paid off the house. In the process, when we got here, it was completely getting back to my prepping mentality. And I swore I was never going to go through that again. And I had made a promise to her, and I've told you guys about this one too. The one thing she asked me is make sure she never goes hungry when she moved to the States, because she was giving up her entire life by leaving Russia, coming here. Okay. I took that very seriously, right? It was making sure there was always food. Everything else came second, because it was to keep my promise to her. If we had some good luck, sure, we sold the house, sold the condo quickly, and we sold it for a profit. That was nice. Did we put in a lot of the work to get ourselves where we are? Oh yeah, trust me. It was not, there were no food stamps. There was no welfare checks. There was no unemployment checks coming in or anything like that. Did I get assistance from the Mormon Church and the VA? Absolutely. Am I forever indebted to both? Absolutely. Okay, that's one of the reasons why when I do these food drives and toy drives and stuff, it means so much to me because I've been on the other side where it was because of them that I ate. I've had help in my life. There's no question about that. Now my chance is to pay it back. And that's what I try to do and help other people from it. Was it easy? No. Did it make me a stronger person? Yeah. Not exactly the easiest video to make, but a lot of you guys have asked what makes me tick. There's your answer.